Welcome to the Whiskey No podcast. This week, I am very fortunate and very honoured to have the fantastic Lee Robinson with me this evening. If you don't know him, that is WhiskeyWithLee on Instagram. Thanks very much for being on, Lee.
No problem. Thanks very much for having me.
How are you?
I am all good.
Good. This one, it's not based on a specific whiskey by itself. Right now, all I want to do is I just want to get to know yourself and have we chat with you and, find out your background in whiskey, how you became Whiskey with Lee, and so on and so forth. We'll maybe have a wee drink as well as we're going through. Maybe you want to start with a drink?
Yeah, we'll start with
a drink. Get you into, get you a bit looser.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with my one or do you want to start with your one?
Well, I would say typically we'll start with non-cask strength and ease up to cask strength.
We'll take this one away and we'll bring it back later then. So what have you brought with you?
So, Bushmills 10-year-old. One of my favourites. I would say it's...
This could be bad.
Could be.
I'd say Bushmills, I think that's one of our favourites as well. Again, I know it becomes a common theme on this podcast, but we always say that our wedding should have been endorsed by Bushmills. We drink Bushmills pretty much all day. But what brings you to this bottle in particular, or just in general?
To be honest, I would say it's just a bottle I always have to have on the shelf. It was one of the sort of first bottles I would have said that was special in a way, as as whiskey go. When you're first starting off, people are buying you presents and you're buying whiskies. And when I sort of got this, because from the start I sort of always leaned a bit more towards Bushmills.
Yeah.
And then when I got the 10, I don't know, there's just something about it. I was like, that's something I love.
Yeah.
That's something I love. And ever since, it would be one I would always have on the shelf.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would have 3 or 4 backups, depending on how gifts go.
Just in case you have visitors over. I actually agree with you. Bushmills, I think it's just a staple. It's just a good whiskey to have. I have a few bottles there. When we were just back from France, and Ben, who was on one of the previous episodes, he was talking about it as well. It's one of the bottles, very like yourself, that he just has on the shelf.
Yeah.
And when he sees it coming in, he will buy maybe 2 or 3. Out in France, maybe a wee bit harder to get some of the Irish whiskies, but if he sees it in his local sort of supermarket, whatever, he'll get 2 or 3 because it is one that he'll just sit down on a quiet night and go and grab.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good one, an introductory one as well. I've sort of ruined one of the questions I was going to ask you, but would this be a whiskey that you would say introduced to like just a newbie? Someone who's...
Oh, yes, 100%. I would say, well, my thoughts always were, as I say, with leaning towards Bushmills, is say you have Blackbush. I do think for the price point, it's probably the best value Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people may disagree, but I think for the flavour profile and what it is with the sherry cask and the blend, it is perfect in that way. So I would maybe start with that, but then not many people are drinking whiskey to start with haven't tried a Blackbush.
Yeah.
So then you go up a wee bit with the 10 in levels of flavour, and I also think with the price point up a wee bit, but it's just a staple for me. It's one of those whiskies that I always have, and I know if it's sort of a no thought whiskey.
Yeah.
Is, have a lot on the shelf, but if I don't really want to choose and go to it,
Yeah.
I can always have it there.
I think you're brilliant. Well, thank you very much for the pour. Cheers.
Sláinte.
Oh, I love that wee. That was a nice wee clink, sláinte. It is such a lovely whiskey. As I only, really started what I would consider tasting whiskey back in March. When we started this, and it's taken like from there to now. I think I'm starting to feel confident enough to say that I can maybe taste certain profiles. Not a lot.
Yeah.
To me, there's still very much a whiskey tastes like a whiskey, but I'm starting to get there with some notes. This one, unbelievable. Like I'm getting that honey. I'm
Yeah.
getting like sort of like a real floral note off it when I'm sniffing it as well there. But it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I think again, presentation wise, for the money that you're spending to get a bottle like this, you're getting a lovely box, you're getting a lovely bottle, something that you can put on the shelf, and in your case, you have a brilliant story behind it as well,
Yeah.
which I think is fantastic. But let's get into yourself a wee bit more. We'll delve a wee bit deeper if you're
Well,
okay with that.
yeah, of course.
So a bit about yourself, just from going and having this sort of chat with you at Whiskey Social and going through Instagram and stuff like that, you have a few different things that you sort of have going on. So you have your Whiskey with Lee tastings.
Yeah.
You do a wee bit of work with Glen's Vantrum Whiskey with Lear.
Lear.
How did apart from these, how would you consider that you got into whiskey?
My sort of introduction of whiskey was twofold, because it was a friend of mine, Kevin. He was always sort of a whiskey drinker, but I was to call him a whiskey drinker, not a whiskey taster.
Okay.
So he was drinking whiskey, but it was a lot of bourbon, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but he wasn't tasting whiskey, he was drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to I think it was a Buffalo Trace at the time.
Okay.
So it got me one night when we were out. Obviously, you're drinking, so you're not tasting.
You're also drinking responsibly.
Yeah, drink responsibly. Not 10 pints of Guinness and whiskey. But he let me sort of taste that, and then the other sort of way was I was around, and my brother-in-law, well, my sisters and my brother-in-law had offered me I think it was a Jameson and Coke.
Mm.
And I'm not a big fan of Coke. Just something I don't really deal with. So I was sort of him in hand going, oh, what will I do? And then he was like, well, I have Sprite. I was like, okay, I'll take it with Sprite. I thought, do you know what?
Bit lighter.
I thought a wee bit later, I don't mind Sprite. So had it with Sprite, and I thought, oh, that's lovely and sweet.
Right, okay.
Like, oh, that's something I could drink.
Yeah.
But at that time, very embarrassingly, I started to drink whiskey in the way that it was like a pint glass, and it was
Nothing wrong with that at all. I
was
did
like-
the exact same.
it was like Jameson. I don't know, no measure, just pouring, and then filling it with Sprite, and then like, oh, I'm drinking whiskey now, but I'm not drinking whiskey. Now, don't get me wrong, I always say drink whiskey how you like whiskey, drink it how you want to drink it. But I was also going, I'm not really drinking. So then it slowly started to creep down in the mixer, and then it went a wee bit to ice, and then it just got a stage where it's like, I'm not really, really drinking it. I need to start tasting it. So then it slowly went on to that. And then the whole Instagram bit sort of was a wee bit strange, because during COVID I had a sort of life blog.
Okay.
So it was Life with LJR, which is my initials. So then it went on from that, and then I sort of worked through COVID, because I work in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked through COVID. So I didn't really have the time when I went fully back to work like normal. So I started posting whiskey.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know what I was doing. Didn't really know where I was going with it, because it was just like, I can't really sit and write a story for an hour on a blog anymore, because I had like the Instagram, but I also had a website.
Okay.
So I didn't really have the time, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And then as I started collecting more bottles, I was like, could I turn this into like a whiskey page?
Yeah.
And then it was through a couple of ideas from friends who came up with the Whiskey with Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And then I switched to Instagram from Life with LJR to Whiskey with Lee.
Yeah.
And at that time, I still wasn't drinking a lot of whiskey. I was buying a lot of whiskey, but I actually wasn't drinking it. And then it got to the point I was like, I need to actually start drinking more whiskey. So then I just tried to introduce myself to tasting whiskey and see where I went from there. And that's sort of just snowball away with from there. You know, you start being invited to events and getting more into whiskey, and then you start to know some of the guys and deal with some brands, and then that's really where it went from there.
And do you know what, like this is you've pretty much sort of told a bit of my story as well there, because like that, I mean, that's how you and I have sort of come to meet as well. Like when I started this, it was an idea of just sitting here and putting a camera up and sort of having a whiskey and talking, maybe less so about the whiskey than just chatting, but the whiskey was there in some aspect. And then, like you said, then all of a sudden you're going to a whiskey event, and then you meet people like yourself, and next thing you're maybe going down to a distillery, and all of a sudden, you know, you start getting involved with like Belfast Whiskey Week that's coming up, you know, and it snowballs so quick.
Yeah, well, see, on the back of what I said there is, like, I've knew Paul Kane from Belfast Whiskey Week for years, because Paul actually was my old Sunday league football manager. Now, we didn't really get on them days, but Paul was one of the first that when I started to get into whiskey was like, oh, here, if you need any help, blah, blah, and, you know, give me a bit of advice and invite me to this or invite me to that. So then, I say, with brands and events, you start to get to know more people, and that's, as I say, how it went on. When I sort of came up with the idea for the tastings, it was sort of, it was an idea that was sort of rattling around my head for about a month or so, and I just couldn't really shake it. So then one day I said to my wife, I was like, I'm going to get Paul a ring. I'm going to ask some advice. See, he'll probably tell me, nah, knock on the head, don't worry about it. So I rang Paul. He was like, no, let's do it. Like, what do you mean, let's do it? He was like, let's do it. So here's 3 things I need you to do. So it was pick a date, it was find a venue, and it was book a venue. So, okay.
No way of backing out.
Like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. So then I started reaching out to different venues in and around Moira. Got a few yeses, a few no's, a few no responses. Now, I should probably know there's not many places around Moira that can accommodate you for something like that. So then I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And then I sort of went back to Paul and went, okay, I have a venue that will accommodate us. Just need to figure out a date. It's like, okay, what about a Thursday night? I said, okay, Thursday, that should be doable. And then he picked a Thursday, and he was like, 6 weeks from now we're doing it. Like, 6 weeks? I thought we were talking 6 months. He's like, no, we have to go for it.
Yeah.
So then he'd help me kick it off, and basically he took most of the tasting that night to kick it off, and I gave him a wee bit of a hand. He was very, very generous enough to bring all the whiskey with him, provide me with glasses, all the extra that I needed. Really, really can't say enough about how much he helped me kick it off. And now it's been a year and 4 months I've been doing it. And it's sort of ran itself. Yes, obviously I still have planning and stuff to do, but it's sort of works itself, and been very gracious. The brands have been helpful to come on board and are very happy to work with me and come in and do the events. And when I ran a charity raffle and different bits and pieces,
I saw the charity raffle.
People are very generous at giving, especially when it's down to a good cause. So it's been good. It's been really good.
Unbelievable. That's class. And I said there was there's one. I know the next one that was coming up, or it just came out. I know I was away somewhere, but I can't wait to actually come up to one of them as well. And I think that's I don't know. I love the environment that the sort of the whiskey culture especially in sort of Belfast and Northern Ireland, really has. Like,
The whiskey community is second to none.
it's incredible. And
Some of the most generous guys and girls out there that will literally give you anything.
yeah,
Are always there for help and support anything you do. They've really been great in that aspect, and everyone is so generous and sharing samples and
yeah.
linking up for different events, and really really good guys. Like,
No, I honestly, like, I was blown away. I didn't know what I was coming in. I didn't know what to expect. A lot of people look at whiskey and think, oh, there's a real bit of sort of like pompous around it because it's whiskey. And it's really not. Like, anyone who I've met, just over the past 3, 4 months, whatever it is, you just get this, oh, come on down, have a chat, and oh, this is great, and messing on Instagram and just talking back and forth with these people that I've never met before.
yeah,
People, Graham Whiskey Works,
yeah,
I had never met him. I'd chatted to him a few times over Instagram, and last week I was up at his house getting drawings that he commissioned, and he did these fantastic drawings. He gave me a few samples, I gave him a few samples, and I sat talking there for about an hour with him.
yeah.
I will have him on this at some point because again, like I said, everyone that I've talked to, so interesting. They all have different stories, different ways to they got into whiskey. There's no one route. It's
Exactly. Everyone has their own journey to it, and
it's incredible. And then obviously, like, through you building this sort of brand and life around, you've been approached, obviously, and you do a wee bit of work for Glens of Antrim and Lear and stuff like that. How'd that come about? Or
well, I can only guess they approached me in the way that they see me doing my tastings, but around February time, I got a message from one of the directors of the company to say, we're having a guy move on. Is there any interest from yourself to come on board and maybe do our events? So, in that aspect, I was like, okay. I was off that week, so I got back to her on the Monday and was like, okay, I'm happy to have a chat. Let me know when suits you for a call.
yeah,
We end up meeting in person for a coffee on Tuesday, and then we sort of got our heads together and played it that it would be sort of like a freelance brand ambassador role, and I would take care of booking sampling sessions in the officers, proper sit down tastings, and look at doing actual events, like the Whiskey Live, the Whiskey Social, and then possibly the Expo at Belfast Whiskey Week.
yeah.
So,
No, I'm really looking forward to that as well this year. I think I genuinely think it's brilliant. And again, that's how you and I met. We met at the Whiskey Social down in Europa, and I'd never met you in person. Had literally just met you through Instagram,
yeah,
and then the next day we're just sitting having a chat as
exactly.
if like we'd known each other for ages. It blows me away. And then even like being involved with sort of Belfast Whiskey Week this year, seeing the number of people who generally just give up their time to come down
Yeah,
and help out and
yeah.
clean glasses and just be there to help is
Just be involved.
yeah, it's just incredible. One of the things I've sort of noticed, and again, I have my own sort of stance on this. I know maybe distilleries themselves maybe feel a wee bit differently, but like a lot of whiskey in Northern Ireland now, it's becoming a huge thing, and there's a lot of new distilleries starting, all that kind of stuff. Do you feel that the market's maybe getting oversaturated? Because I don't. I think it's a brilliant thing, but
I think it's a brilliant thing for the community of us sort of guys here and are getting to try these fantastic liquids. They're going to the distilleries, seeing the people who are putting their hard work into the product. But I do find that there is a massive amount of whiskies, and it's not even the distilleries, it's just a brand of whiskey. It's came with that too.
yeah,
But But don't get me wrong, I love whiskey and I'm happy to go around and taste as many as I can and try everything I can and collect the bottles, because that's one of my main things, is getting bottles and sitting all night and having them and getting my thoughts around it. But I do think there can be arguments for both.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant thing for us as consumers, especially in the north and the south, small island, getting plenty of whiskey. It's great, but I do fear that there can be a bit of oversaturation in the way that most of these whiskies don't get the chance to shine outside Ireland.
Fair.
Do you know, because there's no point trying to push them towards Europe where they're going to say, well, I have 30 Irish whiskies in our market. They're not going to go for a 31st.
I've noticed this as well. Sorry about in the background there. If you do hear any sort of barking and whine, it is our two dogs who are unfortunately locked in the living room. But they're fine. No, I've noticed, like, just as I say, coming back from France, we were in one of the supermarkets and we went in. And again, we were talking to Ben, and Ben's lived in France now a lot of his life. And what he was saying is, in a supermarket where you would have had, a small, maybe 2 bottles per shelf of Irish whiskey, has now grown to maybe 3 full shelves, 3 full drops. And it is starting to really come in. Great for him, because he's now getting to start to try all these whiskies that are coming from Ireland that, other than that, he could never have got.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I've sort of noticed, all the sort of new distilleries that are coming about, they all have their own story as well. I think that's what I find more interesting.
Well, it's great to see. Yeah, it's great to see, especially smaller brands and distilleries starting off, and when they do things like, say, Copeland on the cashiers.
Yeah,
it's a wee bit of a local thing that you can get behind, and you're like, oh, I have a piece of that.
100%.
And then it's almost like, for a whiskey drinker, it's like money in the bank, because you're like, oh, in 6 years I'm getting 3 cask strength.
You hear that, Holly? Money in the bank.
Money in the bank. So I can get away with it in the way that my wife Courtney hates me buying any more whiskey, but in the way I haven't bought any more whiskey, they are future bottles to come.
See,
so they haven't went on to the shelf. They have just in maturation, waiting for me to collect.
Exactly.
In due course.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that.
Well, I bought 2 cask here, so and I'm waiting for a 5th to come out. So we'll see what that is. I'll jump on that too.
No. Would there be? Well, again, I think having that sort of involvement, and it just means that, as you said, it just makes you feel a part of it.
Exactly.
It's
especially for, say, I know I've said Copeland, but Copeland with the cashiers, because, like, if you're down Doggedy, you're down that direction, and you're like, oh, we'll call in the Copeland.
Yeah.
And then also the wee cashier card, you get 10% off. So it's also a wee cheeky coffee and see what else is there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that you're supporting a local brand. You hear the story from Gareth, and you see the brand and you see how it has evolved and it's growing, and you're like, well, I'm part of that. I'm part of that. I'm getting behind local guys starting off, pushing on, doing something. Now they're obviously distilling and bringing out their own liquid, which is great. But you're like, I've got a couple of bottles.
Something's coming my way.
Yeah, something coming my way that the general public aren't going to get. Yeah. Something special, and from a small local distillery, you're like, I'm part of that.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that way.
And it was something, again, it was just, I know we're talking about Copeland here a lot, but that's what, when I went down to pick the artworks up from Graham, one of the small samples he gave me was a bottle of Copeland. And I don't know which bottle it was, but he got his own cask. And now it's like a wee 5-litre cask. Yeah. He had filled it with, I think it was a Malbec he said he filled it with. Left it sitting in the cask for a while. Took all the Malbec out and put the Copeland in. And then he just let it sit for me about 6 months. And then that he gave me a wee bottle of it and magic. So it was like,
Yeah.
there's other stories that you can start telling based around those kind of whiskies. And, I remember saying to you at social, the if you take the story behind Lear, for the Glens Vantrum, that actually holds dear to me. And it's not because of the story, I think it's because when we go down to West Cork every year, the children of Lear are buried in West Cork,
Yeah.
or said to be buried in West
Yeah.
Cork, just outside a town called Allihies.
Yeah.
And when you go down, it was a book written by Pete McCarthy called McCarthy's Bar. Thank you very much. The story's in it, so it's him going around West Cork, and he's talking about that kind of stuff. And literally, you drive down this road. If you don't know what's there, you will drive past it, but it's just a stone on the right hand side of the road, and it just says here lies the children of Lear, and it's that story in itself. Again, it's an Irish myth. It's an Irish legend, and then all of a sudden you're seeing this. So the story,
it gives you a tie to it.
yeah, the story behind it, just almost that to me is what sets each whiskey apart. You've got Titanic, which has its own story. You've got Hinch, which has its own story. You've got Copeland. You've got all these different distilleries across just Northern Ireland in general.
Yeah.
That have those different stories.
Exactly.
And that's to me where I sort of appreciate the whiskey more. I like something with a story. I like being able to tell a story with it. Is there a whiskey that you've never tried that's like on your bucket list? As my dog goes in the background.
Oh, that's
I'll give you mine. What did you think about it? So mine is a Middleton Very Rare 1990. And again, the reason why 1990 is because that was the year I was born. So I just want, it's one that I want to try, maybe not necessarily own. I've seen it on auction sites and it goes for maybe about £1,700, which, I'm getting devil eyes from behind the camera right now, but...
Well, sure, you can get two at that price,
Yeah.
One to drink, one to keep.
Exactly. And, no, but again, that brings us back to Bushmills, because that's exactly what we did with the Millennium Malt. We bought 2 bottles of Millennium Malt, one to open on the day of our wedding, and one that's kept there. So...
One to break a cork.
Yes, one to break a cork. Someone's been listening.
I have.
One to break a cork. That's the perpetrator there.
So, for a dram I haven't had, and I don't know, it's hard. I don't know what could be in my head there.
Maybe it hasn't even been invented yet. Hasn't even been distilled yet.
I don't know. It's probably something Bushmills. Maybe
Yeah.
Bushmills 30-year-old.
Yeah.
I tried the 25.
Uh-huh.
So I got a friend of mine was good enough to get me a sample of the 25 at Whiskey Live in Dublin last year.
Okay.
I think they were doing at the Dram Bar like 18 or 19 or maybe €20 for a wee measure of it, and he brought it back in a wee sample bottle.
Oh, lovely.
So it was only like
Just a little.
bit
like-
full, but for it being like £800 a bottle, I was like, I'll give it a go. Don't get me wrong, it was lovely. I don't know if I had the £800 to spend, I probably would buy it.
Yeah.
But sitting here, as I do not have the £800 to spend, I'll say it's not something I would buy.
Yeah.
But for one of those,
Yeah. Just I get what you're saying. It's not necessarily this extravagant.
maybe the was it the Secrets of Bush?
Oh yeah.
Maybe a sample of that. So Mark McConville, if you're watching,
Yeah, Mark.
sort us out, or Alex Thomas. You know,
When we were at the Whiskey Social, Mark was there. Again, that Mark was actually. That's what sort of triggered me to see how big but also small the whiskey community is, because he came in and literally I went up to the Bushmill stall, was asking, I can't remember who I was talking to behind the stall, and then he came along. He's like, "Oh, whiskey no." I went, "How do you know what? Hold on, how did you?"
Yeah.
I just didn't get. And I ended up sitting chatting with him as well. I would say, would you go up to Harbourview and do the £1,608 flight that he has?
well, if Adrian McLaughlin would
Yeah,
set me up, No problem. I love sampling fine whiskies. So
I'm going up to see Adrian here in a couple of weeks and try and rub my elbows with him a wee bit. I'm like, if no one's bought it, like,
I know.
I'm quite happy to be the first one,
Yeah, first time I met Adrian was actually at the Outwalker, the launch night. When we were sitting, a friend of mine, he's an ex-Iron and Ulster rugby player,
Okay.
so him and I had went along because he's good friends with Darren. So we went along. We were sitting at a table, and Adrian came along and introduced me, and sitting having a chat and stuff. So then, when I seen the Harbour View thing, I was like, "Hey,
I know that guy.
that stuff is looking good."
I went up to one of the Carnlough whiskey nights with 3 drams, and it was it was one of the first ones in the hotel. So me and a friend went up, and we're sitting down, and this guy comes and sips it. And I knew, this is the thing, I'd seen photos of Adrian, but when you meet people in, like, face to face, sometimes you just don't put 2 and 2 together, going, "Oh, that was the guy that was in the photo." So he's sitting down, I'm chatting to him as if he's just maybe another punter up for Carnlough whiskey club, and I can't remember what I came to. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to get, chatting and see if I can come up." He goes, "Well, you're talking to the right person." I says, "Why?" He goes, "Well, I own the place." I was like, "Oh, you're Adrian. Oh, I'm really sorry." So then got the grand tour around the place, and bit of a faux pas on my part. Sorry, Adrian, but it was,
Oh, it's lovely. He's a gentleman. He
oh,
is.
absolutely. Taught me a few different ways to taste whiskey. That don't make you look pompous, but make you look as if you know what you're doing. Like about how to aerate it in your mouth and stuff like that.
I still don't know what I'm doing, but listen, I'm good at bluffing my way.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's I think that's what I do too. I pretend that I know something about something, which I really don't.
About nothing, so it's all good.
That was lovely. Again, that one, it doesn't leave much of a burn. It just is nice and soft, and you could sit and sip that all night.
But here's a question for you. I call it a diamond shaped bottle.
Mm-hmm.
From the cut around the edges.
Yeah.
That shape or the old shape?
See, this is genuinely something because it doesn't necessarily have the same appeal to it in the sense that I prefer, like, if you take Green Spot, when they rebranded, I prefer the new bottle now. It's the same round shape bottle, but I love the new branding on it. The old bottle, it gave you the impression of it's a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
So you look at it and go, "Oh, bottle of whiskey," but would it be one that I'd go and pick off the shelf? I prefer this. And I don't know why. It might just be...
I think the colour on this
Yeah.
is very approachable. I think it's very good catching your eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting out. But I'm still a sucker for the old bottle.
Yeah.
And the dark green tube and the old style bottle. I just think there's something
Just
iconic about it.
okay.
Just, it's Bushmills.
Yeah.
It's been around hundreds of years. But don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with this bottle, and I do love this bottle in its own right.
Yeah.
Because I do have the old style 10 in the house, and when they rebranded this way, I did say to my wife, I need to get one of those to sit beside it. But I think I don't know, there's something just
I'm trying to remember.
nostalgic of the old.
I'm trying to remember. I know, I think my dad has a bottle of it in the house. So the next time I'm down at my parents' house, I must actually go and have a look and get a look at it and go, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I am a sucker for judging a book by its cover when it comes to things like this. Like if it catches my eye, I'm like, oh, that might be interesting. Now, on that, big cork or small cork? So
Of the Bushmills?
no, in general,
In general?
So I mean, the bottle we'll try and kill this bottle tonight, but you got the big cork and you've got the small cork.
I don't know, because that's like obviously the new style Bushmills have like a 50p head on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the top of it's lovely.
Yeah.
Suppose I say new.
Yeah.
new style because a lot more bottles have that, like hints of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. There again,
Hard one.
I go for it purely because I think bigger cork maybe
But what,
harder to break.
so what are you thinking on cork, like that acro wooden
Yeah.
fresh style, or the sort of rubber ones you see?
No, it has to be. Like, it has to be hard. No,
yeah.
oh, yeah. No, it has to be. It has to be official. I mean, we tried one. I think it was the episode I did with Neptune, maybe, and it had a glass cork. Not necessarily glass, but it was
Like a see-through.
yeah.
So
I can't remember the whiskey that it was on, but I just remember lifting it going, I've never seen that before. That to me was a wee bit
Do you
too
think-
fancy.
so would it be similar to, have you seen Limavadi's?
No, I like Limavadi's one.
I think the bottle's quite
Yeah,
nice.
I like Limavadi's one.
But it's a glass top too.
Yeah.
It's like a glass top or a plastic top.
No, I like it. It fits the aesthetic of the bottle. I think that's
Yeah.
where it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to start getting into. When it gets down to like that sort of finer detail, like I think again, like on the Neptune episode, we had found a bottle that had its own optic in it, so it made it easier for pouring and things like that.
Was this a bottle you got from Spain?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that.
it was just it
Well,
was the Canary
I think
one.
a lot of Spanish spirits do that, because I've noticed them wearing vodka bottles too,
Yeah.
which slows down your pouring. And if you're on holiday, that's not what you want. Not that I drink vodka anymore. That was many moons ago.
No. Yeah, no, that's gorgeous. This one I have here. This is a bottle, and this I know it's 5 years old because you, producer Holly, bought me this for my 30th birthday, and it was the very first cask strength bottle that I ever owned. 62%, so it is quite strong given cask strength.
That's why I'm happy we started with Bushmills. Warm up the palate.
But I love this bottle. It's sort of been with me now for 5 years. It's not that it comes out on special occasions. It's just it's one of those ones that has sort of lived. You can see the dust on it. It's sort of lived in the back of the cabinet. And when I started redoing the cabinet and stuff, I found it again. I thought, oh, this needs to come out. So West Cork, if you've never seen West Cork, this is from a distillery down in Skibbereen in West Cork. And they've done a lot of amazing bottles. They actually did a release with Thin Lizzy, where they did so I have 2 bottles of it as well. Lovely whiskey. But this one,
Try it.
this one you got me for my 30th birthday, and there's not much left. And if you fancied, we could kill a bottle. This will be the first bottle that I think we've killed on a podcast. Would producer Holly like a wee sip to finish off this bottle?
Yes, please.
All right, grab yourself a glass here. Do you want a new glass or?
No, thank you.
So
Character so damn.
this is just, I don't know, something about it is just,
I have a bottle. It's from West Cork, but it's not branded from West Cork.
right,
So
okay.
the brand is Price Right.
Right, okay.
So I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
2 boxes on the front. Old style label. So basically the story with that is quite funny because, as I was saying about just getting into whiskey, we were, as far as I can remember, we might have been going out to, we were going out to New York where my wife and I got engaged. So 2019 it was. We were coming through duty free. I think it was Terminal 2. That's the one with the big whiskey thing in it.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So we were in Terminal 2 at the big whiskey bit, and guy was giving out samples. Now being it was 7 or 8 in the morning, thought it was only right.
Absolutely.
So giving out samples of Price Right, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. So I left them one taste in. I was like, that is really smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, things have changed because palate and age and tried a lot finer whiskies, but I had tasted it and thought, I must get a bottle of it. But with one of those, I sort of kept it in my head and thought, I'll get a bottle of it, but I don't want to order it online.
Yeah.
I want to see it and pick it up. So, fast forward through COVID, me and my fiance at the time took a road trip down south, ended up in Galway. I don't know if you've ever seen it as you're coming down. I think it's towards, was it the Latin Quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Latin or Spanish Quarter?
Yes. Oh, I don't know.
We've been to Galway a couple of
Spanish.
times actually, but
I think it might be Spanish, you're right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, coming down towards it, and there's this window. Obviously, being during COVID, not many, there was bars, but they had I would buy food and have a pint.
Mhm.
So, big window full of whiskey, and I walked over and spotted it straight away. Like, there's that price for it. Courtney said to me, "Come on, let's go in." Couldn't see anywhere to get in. Next door was like a fishing shop or something.
I think I know which. I think I know the store you're talking about.
So we went in there, and I said to one behind, I was like, "How do I get their whiskey?" She was like, "Come on with me." So walking behind the till, behind the counter of the shop, in through his back door and open up the full bar. Where the fuck did this come from? Like, you'd be having a full party in here, no one would know. And then she'd asked, "Well, you know, what are you looking for?" Straight off, Courtney, "Price, right?" Put it down. I said, "How much is that?" Courtney said, "Don't worry about it." Bought me straight off. And at that point, I think it was about €65 spent.
Okay.
At that point, I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, I was not long into whiskey, so I was like, that's a lot of money. What'd you do? You know, you want it, got it, but you can't open it till a wedding. I said, no problem. So, obviously, went on. We got married a couple of years later, finally opened it. Now, don't get me wrong, still a lovely whiskey.
Yeah.
Really love it, but now it's got a sentimental value to it. So then it just happened that coming up to our first anniversary, I went to a local off sales just outside Moira, and randomly sitting on the shelf is Prize Fight whiskey. Like, that's the most random bottle to be sitting on the shelf. So then Courtney bought me another bottle as an anniversary present. So now I still have the original bottle, which I haven't killed yet.
Yeah.
And one is backup. Now I had planned to get one every year and kill one every year.
Yeah.
And get the year on the cork of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't even killed the first one. So
I like that. That's a good idea.
yeah, so we would do that sort of with Prosecco or champagne corks.
Yeah.
We put the date on them and then put them into like a vase sitting on the table.
You do that now, but we don't put the date on them. That's actually a good idea. Oh, do you? Oh, right.
So then when we ever lift them out, you can tell, oh, that was a nice champagne for our wedding anniversary. That was just a bottle of Prosecco on a Saturday night. But not that we drink a lot of Prosecco or anything, but you know the times
Yeah.
when they were. But I've also started doing that with corks of whiskey. So
I like that idea.
kill that, throw the cork into a vase and just let it fill up.
Actually, now I'm annoyed that I left it. Ben, I need the Irishman back.
But I don't kill that many bottles that regularly. So
Yeah.
it's going to take me a while.
That's why I'm asking for that bottle back, because literally this is bottle number 3 that I think I've ever killed in all the whiskies that I've ever owned.
Hey, well, I'm not that bad.
No. That's what I mean. I had the Irishman, which we did when we were in France. This one, and then I recently killed the first bottle of Green Spot I ever bought.
No, I still have my first.
Yeah.
I got, well, this is what I mean with whiskey too, is I collected a lot. So I am sitting at, I think, about 120, well, as of today, I think it's 128 bottles without duplicates.
Mhm.
But there's still probably, I will say, probably about half of it not opened.
Yeah.
because I bought that much that regularly and I wasn't opening anything.
Yeah.
That I just got a point. I was like, whiskey's for drinking. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a couple whiskies I have which are special whiskies, things I've been gifted, things I have now with a son that I've put away.
Yeah.
A certain bottle I was gifted for my wedding was a Teelan 18-year-old Renaissance 5, I think it is. But I have worked it out that I opened it on his first birthday, and I've worked it out. If I have 35 mil, I think it was, every year until he's 18, I can have a double measure with him.
When he turns 18.
Yeah, when he turns 18.
See, I love stories like that. That's
So that was a gift from a consultant I work with, very generous guy.
Yeah.
And he gifted me that for my wedding, and it was one of those I've been looking at, going, when could I open that? When could I open that? It's too special to open.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, along with the cost of it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cost to be open. And then when I'm a wee man, I said on his first birthday. So after his party, everything, sat down, opened it, and then I had said to my wife, I've measured this out, 35 mil every year for now 17 years, and we can have a double measure together.
What if he doesn't like whiskey?
And I can his measure,
A double.
and he's going to be very disappointed because I've already put away 5 bottles of whiskey for him.
Yeah. No, I love that. The last episode that came out there with Ben, that's exactly what he's done with Middleton Very Rare. So the year his son was born, he's bought a bottle of the Very Rare each year.
Yeah.
And then on the 18th birthday, he's going to give him all 18 bottles.
See, I'm not that good.
No, that's...
I've got like things that you won't probably get in a couple of years, like Red Bush.
Yeah.
Red Bush is discontinued now,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
What
it is.
what was the distillery down south that's closed? Was it Waterford?
Dingle. No, Waterford. Yesterday, Waterford.
Yeah.
I was having a separate chat with someone today about Dingle.
Yeah.
Waterford it is, but then it's tricky enough to get your hands on a bottle, but then it's the pricing too.
We saw a bottle in France, and I'm now sort of kicking myself that I didn't buy it. We were in this little tiny town called Branson, and went into this. It was a wine shop predominantly, but they just had a little tiny whiskey corner in the back of the store. I went down and had the usuals. Had some Macallan. This has it. I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it really? But it's like, I'm
Oh,
gonna have.
cheers,
Yes.
first bottle, Carol.
Cheers for the first bottle. Here.
I drank mine.
She drank hers.
No waiting around.
No.
Straight in.
No, we went in, and it was sitting there, and I actually put my hand. It was the only bottle of whiskey that I put my hand on. I had a few because they had the Glenallachie 12, which they had at a very good price, and I was like, I'll buy it. We've done an episode, really liked it, and I walked out and I thought, no, I'd already bought a few bottles when I was away, and I knew I was coming home to the Copeland bottle and things like that, and I thought, no, I've bought too many. Same idea as yourself. I'm not going to get through all these.
Yeah.
The only way I'm getting through whiskey at the minute is because I started a podcast. But
Not a bad way to kill bottles.
no, but as I saw the bottle and I knew they'd closed down, I thought I need to get my hand on this, and I walked out and I regret not buying it now because I know they're probably going to be harder and harder to get.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good whiskey or if it's bad whiskey, but again, it's just one of those ones where it's just like
To be honest, I
there's a
haven't.
dying breed of it now.
Yeah, I haven't tried any of the Waterford stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't something that automatically appeared to me.
Yeah.
I thought the bottle was class. I
Yeah.
liked the bottle, but they sort of went off in different sections of the whiskies, and I don't know. I sort of got lost with what each was, so I just didn't look into it. I was like, okay, maybe it's not something for me.
Yeah.
So I
It
just
did
left
something
it.
that was sort of in the background going, I might come across it at some point. It might end up in my collection at some point. And now it's just like, will it at some point become a rarity? I don't know.
Yeah,
But it is going to be a bottle that'll slowly but surely disappear. What do you think of that?
that's lovely.
For the strength of it, it does have a bit of a burn, but the smell of it is just hits you.
So here's one for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favourite type of glass? Whiskey?